I come up with these stupid sayings, but for some reason they just kind of click for me and they make sense, and I share them. Maybe they don't for you, but hopefully they do. So I've talked a lot and thought a lot recently about like what I call like this healthy tension that's got to be there in life, right? The whole idea being to continue to improve, to get better, to be more authentic, to be more comfortable with ourselves, to overcome our own ego and biases and blind spots, etc., etc. There's constant questioning that has to happen. There's constant challenging. There's constant thinking, trying to look at it from the other perspective, always entertaining the idea you might be wrong, never being certain, all that stuff, right? And that manifests out in a whole host of different ways. And there's that tension that comes with that. And there's some stress that comes with that. It's not necessarily like an enjoyable feeling. Whatever it is, right? I started a new podcast recently. I have stuff going on at work, kind of my main job, things I'm trying to do as a dad, to be a good dad or a good husband. And as you do that, you're constantly in this state of questioning and stress of wondering, what about this or what about that? And there's never really a finish line or a comfort that you can just kind of settle and relax. So the stupid saying that I kind of thought of, what I've started to think about is that stress is a given. That's going to be there. But the stress on the stress, that doesn't have to be there. So the saying being like, don't stress about the stress. Stupid. But I think there's something to it. I think that when I think about that tension and that questioning and all that work that I do, there is a place that I can find where I can kind of come to peace with that. I can feel like, yes, I almost can detach myself from it and think, okay, when I'm focused on, just pick an example, right, the podcast, and I'm trying to think about who I should be interviewing next, or I'm thinking about what I already did and, how did I do? Could I have been better? That's where that constant stress is there. I don't get to feel the comfort of feeling like I'm killing this and this podcast is awesome and I can just kind of enjoy it and just swim in the great pleasure feeling that I have of it. But I can detach myself from that and recognize that, like, okay, when I'm in that mode, when I'm thinking about the podcast, when I'm doing that, the tension's going to be there. It has to be there. I have to be questioning. But I can remove myself from it and kind of acknowledge that, okay, I'm going to put that aside from now. I guess it's kind of like compartmentalizing it a bit, but recognizing that stress isn't going to go away. I'm not going to make pretend it doesn't exist. I'm not going to make pretend that I've figured it out and I have the answers. But I'm not going to stress about that stress. I'm not going to add another layer onto it. I can be at peace with the idea that stress is there. And maybe even more practically, the way this plays out sometimes is there are moments, it might be a given weeknight or weekend night where I've kind of done my work. I've done the podcast, I've done what I've had to do. If, I had a busy week, whatever it is, my son's asleep and me and my wife are just hanging out, talking or watching a movie. And in those moments, I could kind of, because of that detachment, I could kind of just enjoy it. It's not fake. It's not like I'm making pretend all the other stresses of the world don't exist. They are definitely there. But I'm okay with them being there. I know they have their place. I know they have their function. And when I need to take them up, I will. And I'll be back swimming in that stress, and that's just what it is. But I'm comfortable in it when it's happening. And when it's not happening, I don't let it stress me out still, that it's there. I don't stress about the stress. I just can focus and enjoy the time I'm spending with my wife or whatever it is that I'm doing. And a lot of this stuff, I feel like when I say it, it's probably more for me than anybody else, because I feel like most people that get it. They hear this and they're like, yeah, of course, that's the goal. That's what you should do. You should compartmentalize. You should detach and not get overly stressed about things you can't control or whatever it is. And this falls into that category, right? The stress is always going to be there. You can't control that. But there's something about realizing it in a true, genuine way for yourself that just makes it like a light bulb goes off. It's just such a impactful, almost liberating feeling. And that's what I've been experiencing of late, this idea that the peace that comes with not having to stress about the stress. And I think the key, the magic sauce in that, if you will, is the recognition that the stress is always going to be there. Right? The stress about the stress only comes because I'm trying to control it. I'm trying to get rid of it. I'm trying to fight it. I don't like it. I want it gone. But now I don't think that way anymore. I think, yeah, it's here. It's functional. There's nothing I can do about it. It has to be here. It's better that it's here. So I'm free to swim in that and be okay with it. So that when I'm not, I don't even have to think about it. I don't even have to worry about it. I don't have to make pretend I'm going to control it or get rid of it when I know I'm not. So don't stress about the stress.